So my poem is O Me, O Life by Walt Whitman. And a big reason why I picked it is because it's actually featured in one of my favorite movies, which is Dead Poets Society. And this is a beautiful movie that talks about living for yourself. So the poem begins with an expression of despair and desperation about how chaotic the world is, and it questions if there's any true meaning under it all. I feel like especially with the chaos of the pandemic and the fact that we're all seniors now starting to plan our lives, this part of the poem was really relevant to all of us. However, the ending of the poem is a comforting sentiment that talks about how it matters less what specifically you do with your life and more about the fact that you get to do anything at all. Simply, the powerful play goes on and you may contribute a verse.
We don't read and write poetry because it's cute. We read and write poetry because we are members of the human race, and the human race is filled with passion. Medicine, law, business, engineering, these are noble pursuits and necessary to sustain life. But poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for.
So my poem was actually written by Walt Whitman, who is an American poet who died in 1892. So many people call Whitman the father of free verse, which is an open form of poetry that doesn't use consistent meter, rhyme, or any specific patterns. Because of this, Whitman's poetry feels like normal speech. And I feel like that makes it come off as a lot more sincere, and it's a lot easier to connect with than some other types of poetry, which is something I really appreciate. However, one of my favorite things about Whitman that really comes off in this specific poem is the fact that he was an avid humanist. So humanism is often associated with a science-based and non-theistic worldview, but its main idea is about the power that human beings hold by themselves. It emphasizes the potential of society and encourages acceptance of one another and the human condition itself. I just find this really interesting, and it's one of my favorite themes to see in poetry, especially in O Me, O Life.
To quote from Whitman, O me, O life of the questions of these recurring, of the endless trains of the faithless, of cities filled with the foolish, what good amid these, O me, O life? Answer, that you are here, that life exists and identity, that the powerful play goes on and you may contribute a verse. That the powerful play goes on and you may contribute a verse.
So these lines in the poem are actually my favorites because I love how calmly the second speaker answers the first, even though they're completely freaking out about their purpose in life and if there's any meaning to it all. When I first started rereading this poem for this project, that part really reminded me of how difficult it was, and still is, to choose a path, especially a major, for life after graduation. And because of this, I really like the idea that us just being here as seniors right now is also a good thing, even as we start to put together all of our plans for the future. However, I feel like the final line to the poem is really what makes it as impactful as it is. I really like that Robin Williams' character repeats that line to all of his students in the movie. This comparison of life to a powerful play that we all get to contribute to really helps to give some perspective to what we're all going to do after this year. And I like the idea of us only being responsible for a single verse. I feel like Whitman is saying that we don't have to panic about how we live our lives, but instead we can just be grateful to be here at all. And this sentiment is the main reason why I chose O Me, O Life as my favorite poem. Thank you.